Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today for the first of the instructional videos. Today is going to be a very easy day, kind of get my feet wet for this whole teaching you to do art thing, and we're going to go over the simplest of art tools, pencils, erasers, and the paper we're going to draw on. Can't get easier than that, can it? Let's get started. All art, visual art at least, begins basically with one thing. You're putting a mark with something onto something else. Probably the most common tools for that these days are pencils and paper. They're ubiquitous. You can get pencils anywhere. You can get paper anywhere. I guess one of the big things is it's just so, I don't know, easy to get. You look at like old Michelangelo or Da Vinci and their sketchbooks are just filled with these drawings because paper was a luxury, and you get one sheet of paper, who knows how much that costs, who knows if you can get more, so they fill it up with these tiny little sketches. Now, a sketchbook like this, 10 bucks and is easy peasy. So definitely we are very lucky to have that. Same with pencils, you can pick them up anywhere. And let's start there then. Let's start with the pencil. Now for my pencils, I use the Derwent graphic set. Now I want to go over and just talk about this set because it contains the entire range of pencils from 9B to 9H. We'll go over what that means. But I want to start off by saying that you definitely don't need all of this. And when we open the box here, you'll see all of them nice in a row there. I had to dig through my used pencil stubby bin to get some of these to put back in there. But as you can see, down here, the 9Bs. In this B range I use a lot, not so much in this H range. B and H, what they mean for pencils is that a B lead is softer, and that means it comes off of the pencil very easily and makes a nice dark mark. I'm barely putting any pressure on there, and you guys can see it's making a mark. Conversely, at the other end of the spectrum, we have the H's. These are incredibly hard leads that don't come off the pencil easy. You have to really press down to get anything off these guys. With the same pressure, it's barely doing anything. You can kind of hear that. Yeah, that nice sound. Even with a ton of pressure on this, it makes it very difficult to get a good. That's about as dark as it gets. The higher the number, the softer or harder the lead gets. Right in the middle, we have our nice little HB pencil. This is like the perfect pencil for just everyday use. It gives a nice dark line. You can press on it and get a really dark light pressure. You can go nice and fine with it. This is the perfect pencil for sketching, doing a lot of underdrawings. Heck, you could even do a full-on large pencil drawing with just this HB. You'd be perfectly fine with that. And here's the good news, like I told you before. You don't need all of this because pretty much every single pencil you just pick up on the street is an HB pencil. This mechanical pencil, it's lead here, HB. This pencil I stole from the mini golf course, HB. This ultra sweet, unsharpened, advanced Dungeons and Dragons pencil, HB. This random one that was given to me, Murado, Black Warrior. Sounds intense, right? HB. Number 2 pencils. So they're everywhere, guys. So that's the good news. You don't need this massive set to get into this. Right on the edges of the HB, we have the B pencil, a little bit softer, that's a little bit darker. The F, which I have no idea why that exists, but hey, it's in there, so that's cool. And then the H, of course, which is a little bit harder lead. Going to be a little softer, a little harder to use. And so you kind of find yourself in this range with the 9s being the extremes. When I do pencil drawings, I generally stick to using like the 4B for midtones. You could see that gives a pretty dark even with virtually no pressure, it's really, really a dark thing. And moving up into like as far as the 9B, which when you press hard is just it just comes off there buttery smooth and gives this really dark look to it. So if you want to get started with some pencils, you got your HB, just go in a drawer, you probably have one floating around. I would definitely recommend getting like a 3H, maybe a 4 or 5H. Same with the Bs, maybe a 4B, maybe even a 6B if you want. And that's a really good place to start. I know Derwent sells little sets that have like 4 pencils in it. That's a great place to start. Let's put that away and let's move on to the next part of pencil drawing. These guys. These are called tortillions. This is more of an advanced thing. I'm not recommending you go out and buy these straight away, but they're just little paper stumps. That's all they are, just made of paper. And they're for blending. It can pick up some of this lead, smooth it out real nice like that. So you can even take it from like this really dark, smooth it real soft into an almost light, you know, into almost nothing, faded away. It's really cool. You can get a lot of painterly effects with pencils with these things. So more of an advanced thing. Definitely not necessary to start with, but I thought I'd show you now because who knows when I'm going to get a chance to. You can also buy these. You might have seen them in the art store and wonder, what the heck is this? This is just a little paddle with some sandpaper, real nice and coarse on there. And it's just made for like, not even sharpening these, but it removes the lead as it builds up on the tip. It just kind of removes that away from there. And that's all these things are used for. And once your sheet gets used up, you just peel it. There's a whole stack of them underneath of there. So easy peasy. I think this costs like $1, this paddle. And a set of tortillions, you know, they come in different arrangements or whatever. But I think this whole bag that you see in front of me was like $4 or something. Like I said, they're just paper. Easy to use, but there you go. Tortillions. Check them out, guys, if you want to get into some heavy-duty pencil drawing. I guess now we should move into sharpeners, because you're going to want to keep your pencils sharp at some point. I use one of these bad boys. This all it is in there. It looks all fancy. All it is, and I'm sure you guys have seen these, is one of these guys that's just set down in here, and this catches it. And then I can dump it out. Easy peasy, but good for traveling. Another thing about these pencil sharpeners, these are like, you know, $1, so you can keep buying them. But if you go to a reputable art store, they may just sell the refill blades. Now these are super sharp, and you just unscrew one, a dull blade, put a new one in. You can keep your pencil sharp for as long as you want, which is super handy, I think. Good tools to have. If you want to use an electric sharpener, or if you just want to knife it away with a X-Acto knife or whatever, the tip, whatever works for you, I just find this to be more convenient. It's also got the bigger hole in it that's good for charcoal pencils and other things like that we won't get into today. So I just mainly stick to this regular hole, and easy peasy. And that is the biggest takeaway for any of this art stuff. Is you don't need the top tier supplies. You don't need them, but you don't want your supplies to be fighting with you when you're using them. You want something that just works, that you can get in there and you do it, and you don't have to screw around and, like, you know, constantly be fiddling with stuff. So just get a pencil and a sharpener that works for you, that you can do it on the go, and you'll be fine. Next up, we'll move into the erasers. Now, if you guys watch the stream, you know that I use these guys. These are the Pentel Click Eraser. And again, super cheap. You can pick these up at any store, usually for a couple bucks for a set of 2 or 3 or whatever. And I really like the white eraser. I think it erases nice and cleanly, which is very cool. And that's one of the things with doing this kind of pencil drawing. You could start to make like little designs and patterns, whatever you want, even in the lead like that. It's a cool way of drawing, almost like a reverse way. erasing what was once there and leaving the dark backgrounds. So very cool. I think that any onboard eraser that's pink like that isn't going to get you too far. I mean, you could definitely use it, especially on this light. It works okay, but when you start to get up into the dark areas, I find they kind of start to smudge, and yeah, you can see there's just a little bit of that gnarly pencil stuff, like the graphite is still left in there. So the pink erasers are okay, you can get by with it, but if you really want to up your game, get a white eraser. You can also find them like these. This is another white eraser as well. I think it does a very good job. And what's nice about any of these, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it, if you get your X-Acto knife, you can kind of sharpen them down to points, which I think is really cool. If you want to get that real fine line, zip, you know, you can sharpen this down, you can cut it so it's just the width you want, and do that. Don't be afraid to manipulate your tools to get the best use out of them. Once again, super cheap stuff. What I love about this stuff too, this guy, is I went on Amazon and I ended up buying a giant box of eraser refills. I hated running out to the store to buy more eraser refills, and they were like $3 for 2 of them. I think I got this case which has, oh, I don't know, 24 in there for like, I don't know, 15 bucks. So I think that was a good deal. They come in little 2-packs, which is perfect for me. So this will last you a while. So highly recommend going the bulk route if you want. So lastly, guys, for this little tutorial, we'll talk about the dust eraser, or the dust brush, I guess. Again, don't need it, but when you're doing heavy-duty pencil drawings, your fingers and the oils can smudge and stain the paper, and you don't want that. You don't want to be doing this all the time. Eventually it will cause problems. So get a little dust eraser for yourself. Again, cheap. Look for it at any art store or online or whatever, and it just flicks away the dust there. Keeps your paper nice and clean. Good thing to have. Let's get into our papers then. Of course, you see in front of you here, I'm using, this is my go-to sketch pad, and this is a Canson Sketch. I have started years ago putting the beginning date 10/18. That's the month that I started using this sketch pad, and when I'm done with it, I'll put the month that I finished using it. And that way, for archive purposes, if you keep your sketchbooks, it's a good thing to do. Down here, and you'll find this on most papers, it tells you the sheets, the size. I like the 9x12 personally, for it gives a nice size to draw with. And then you see the 65 pound here. And this, you'll see it on so many different things, and you might be wondering, what the heck is that? Here it is on the Bristol board. It's a little small there, but this is 100 pound. And basically that means that per, I think it's 10,000 sheets, I may be wrong here, but per 10,000 sheets of paper, that's how much it weighs. So 10,000 of these pieces of paper weigh 65 pounds. 10,000 of these things weigh 100 pounds. Basically, you don't really even need to worry that much about, oh, how many sheets or whatever. The higher the weight, the thicker the paper. This Bristol, you can hopefully even see here, it's a lot stiffer, it's a lot thicker than this sketchbook paper. And that's good to know when you are drawing and whatever. You're going to want to use different papers for different things. You could get a low weight paper just for sketching and fooling around with or whatever. But when I do my marker drawings, I need something stiffer that's going to hold up to the marker. Here are 2 watercolor papers. This is 90 pound, so it's just a little bit less than this Bristol board. But it's got a little bit of tooth on it, and it's good for absorbing water. Here's another watercolor pad, which is smaller. I was using this back in 2011, drawing haunted houses, and this is when I was really starting to practice doing stuff. 2011, man, baby calling. But it is, I believe, 140 pounds. This is perfect. This kind of stuff for watercolor is great. The thicker it is, the more it absorbs. The sheets are really, really thick and stiff. You can see there's not a lot of flex in there. So good stuff. So you might want to consider that if you're going to be doing a final product, getting something that's a lot thicker for a piece of paper. To the pencil drawing, this is a Canson drawing pad. It's 70 pounds, so a little bit more than our initial sketchbook at 65. However, the surface, and that's the next thing, the surface of this is ultra smooth. This is just some stuff I was doing some life drawing, fooling around, trying to draw some ribbons and whatnot. But yeah, very, very smooth surface. Really good. You can manipulate and draw on that, and the pencils kind of just glide on it, which is really nice. You're going to want to get your paper, and you can, give it a feel. Sometimes you can feel the texture, other times you can't. With the Bristol board, there's two kinds: smooth surface and then vellum, which is very gritty and almost like the watercolor paper. So I use the smooth. I like that the pencils and whatnot just glide right off them. Up here too is a color chart. You might have seen these. If you ever went to art school, you've probably done a jillion of these stupid things. But basically this is for an HB pencil. It's the pressure from no pressure, 0, to like light, and then all the way up to my darkest, which is 10. These are kind of handy that if you get pencils, you just want to see just what they can do and produce. You make up one of those guys. You go from lighter to darker, and then you kind of know the full range of the pencil. But let me close this guy up. I use a small drawing pad here. This is just from Blick. Blick, you guys are the best. It's just a Canson sketch pad in there. I've been drawing some like fantasy stuff in here. This is just fun for taking on the go with me. Helmets and whatnot. Just whatever. It just like fits in a, in the car or wherever. Really nice to take around. And then I guess finally we'll get into, for drawing, also they sell stuff like this. Now this is, if you've ever seen the live stream, this is black paper, man. Yeah. So there's the Toxic Waste Werewolf. Oh, look at him go. Toxic Waste Werewolf. Yeah, this paper is really good for picking up colored pencils. And you can still see when you draw on it, the little bit, it's shiny enough that you can kind of see your own mark that you make, which is handy. So you can do like under drawings and stuff on this. Very cool stuff, but a very specialty paper. Same with this. This is the toned tan paper. I don't know if there's anything in here that's even worth showing. Some life drawing stuff. Here you go. What's nice about this is you can, and this is pretty bad, but you can draw in your darks, and then if you have a white colored pencil or crayon or whatever, add the highlights on top. So this paper acts as your mid-tone. Very nice to have, very good for like realistic drawings. Not that this turned out super good, but hey, whatever. They can't all be winners. So that's pretty much it for today's tutorial. Like I said, guys, I just wanted to get my feet wet into this. Just start talking about this, getting used to the format. I'm glad you guys joined me. I guess for some final notes, I will leave you guys off with, if you're going to start drawing, if you want to get into it, get yourself a sketchbook. Doesn't have to be high in the poundage there. Just like a nice, easy drawing. I would suggest going white instead of like a cream or a tan or whatever. Just a basic thing. You could use copy paper if you really wanted. So easy peasy that. Get some pencils, especially the HBs. Just grab something off the street. Get something out of your drawer. It's fine. And then get a white eraser. I like the clicky ones. If you want to get one of these, you can. But so, at the end of the day, to start off, to start making good drawings, to start practicing and working at it, this is all you need right here. Get some printer paper. Get any pencil and get an eraser. You can even use this eraser if you want, but I would recommend the clicky. But that's it. And then from there, that is, I think, the foundation for pretty much all visual art. We can start practicing. We can work on our anatomy, our composition, virtually anything, shading. We'll add in color later, but yeah, this is the foundations right here, guys. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I definitely enjoyed making it and having fun. I guess I'll leave you off in the modern YouTube fashion and tell you to smash that like button and that subscribe button. If you want, you know, whatever, I'm just hanging out. It's all good, you guys, but if you smash it hard. And that's it for me. Colin out. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye.